What's going on, people? Fly enthusiasts out there or e-foil enthusiasts out there. Here I am to make another video for you, and this time it's going to be about foot stance, or basically foot placement on your flyboard or any e-foil for that matter. On that note, I just want to make you understand that this channel is made towards the beginner paddler, beginner e-foiler that are getting into e-foiling. And with that said as well, please consider subscribing, leave the thumbs up, and also by all means, leave a comment below and let me know what you'd like to see. Any suggestions for videos. This video, for instance, it's made because about 4 people asked me as a beginner how to stand on the e-foil. So without further ado, let me get into that right now. Now let's talk about the stance or the foot placement on your e-foil as a beginner. So you're gonna see that most riders, professional riders, I don't consider myself to be a professional rider. I consider myself to be an intermediate and expert. You're gonna see some people riding with the feet aligned, one behind the other. As a beginner, I don't think that'll be the best ride for you, the best position for you, and I can explain why. And also, it depends from which sport you come from. If you're coming from another different sport, you're gonna have your stance already. And for that, let me just give an example. For me, doing wing foiling, I have one way to stand, and subsurfing, and then observe those, and then finally to e-foiling. So just take a look at that, how my foot stance changed from sport to sport.
Let me just quickly show you the difference between my foot stance between wing foiling and e-foiling. In my opinion, wing foiling is one of the hardest foil sports to learn. But anyhow, on wing foil, the power comes from the wing. So most of the, not most, but most of the power, all the power, it comes from your upper body. Therefore, when you step on the board, you have a very sensitive feet, if you will. Most wing foilers will tell you that you're not putting that much weight on the board because you're getting pushed and the power is getting away from your upper body. Now, on wing foiling, you have to learn how to switch, meaning, and I'm going to explain that to you later, you have to switch from a regular stance to a goofy stance and vice versa. And I'm the type of person that I cannot switch stance. Therefore, you're gonna have to be riding on a toe side or heel side. Now, as you can see over here, I'm riding perfectly on a straight line, one foot in the front of the other, and it's much easier for me to ride on a wing foil this way than it to have my feet apart. And so therefore, on wing foiling, I have one feet in the front of the other. Now, on subsurfing, I have 2 different stances. When I'm slow and about to catch the wave, I have my feet apart, which makes the board more stable. And as I gain speed, I switch my feet right there to have one foot aligned after the other. Now, the faster you go on a surfboard or a subsurf, the more stable you become. And that's also true for e-foil. The faster you go on the e-foil, the more stable you are. However, when you have one foot aligned after the other, it's a little unstable on the e-foil. Now, it's stable on surfboard because on a subsurf, because there's a lot of contact in the water, unlike the e-foil. Let's get the e-foil now.
So let's get into your foot stance. It's foot stance right now, or foot placement. I'm using the Ultra cover as a point of reference. So I don't recommend for you as a beginner to have your feet aligned. Why? Because it's very unstable, meaning the only flexion you have here to control your whole body, mainly it's the arch of your ankles. It's right here. All the balance is going to be done right there. And if it is going to be the first time that you doing foiling or e-foil, especially foiling, it's going to feel very unstable. Not only on that, now on the top of that, you're going to have to twist your body forward to keep your chest forward. And that's going to create more looseness on your board. Now, as a beginner, I recommend you to have your feet slightly apart on this position over here, as you can see. Now, I am a regular rider, meaning I had the left foot in front and the right foot in the back. I don't care about that. If you're a goofy rider, you have your right foot in the front, left foot in the back. Anyhow, this is how I ride. The reason why I prefer this is for the fact that not only my body now is facing forward, and my point of balance is right in the middle of the board, and finally, my balance is not on my ankles anymore, it's in the side of my feet and also on my hip. So by squatting a little bit and have my wide stance will give me more balance on the foil. And finally, depending on the board that I'm using, I go way out apart, especially on the Ultra, because it's a very maneuverable board. I have my feet way apart. On my Pro, I don't have as wide, and I never use the 100-liter board. So, in my opinion, if you are a beginner, you should definitely have your feet a little bit more apart, like so. Now, where you're gonna stand on the board is completely depends on your weight, on your board, and the wing that you're gonna be using. And if you wanna see more about that, there's another video right there as how to e-foil for the first time. That's will be a little more complex, but I'm not getting into that right now. But there's one more thing I gotta tell you. Most riders, it doesn't matter which sport they come from surfing, from snowboard, foiling, and so forth, they're gonna have what's called toe side and heel side. When I say heel side or toe side, those are the preference of riding. When I'm doing a heel side turn, for instance, I'm putting my weight on my heels. So I'm turning to my left and putting my weight on my heels. When I'm turning to on my case, to my right, I'm putting the weight on my toes. It doesn't matter which side you are, goofy or regular. If you turn into your left, in this case, if you turn into your toes, your toe is your toe side turn. And if you turn to your heel side, it's your heel side turn. Regardless which side you step on the board. But one thing for sure, most riders gonna feel that you feel more safe, it's more stable for you to turn to your heel side than it is for you to turn into your toe side. And I'm gonna explain to you right now in the water as I show my foot placement and as I ride the board. Now, I gotta let you know one thing. I'm using a microphone right now. The sound quality is better, but once I'm in the water, I'm not gonna have the microphone. And I don't think it's a very windy day today, so most likely it will be okay. But if there's a problem with the wind and the noise, I'll do a voiceover, all right? So hang in there and let's get in the water right now and explain about the toe side and heel side. Oh, by the way, there's a little trick that you can do when you're doing your toe side, remember, which is the most unstable turn. There's a little trick that I do that I'm gonna teach you as well that's gonna make that toe side turn a little more stable and safe for you. So let's get in the water right now. So it's a little bit windy, so I got to turn downwind so you can see or maybe hear me better. Anyhow, so this is my stance on the Ultra board. As you can see, my feet is nice and wide as much as I can because the Ultra is a very maneuverable board. The wind's gonna pick up now. Now on this stance, as you can see, my chest completely facing forward and my weight distributed between my right leg and my left leg. And I can feel much more stable this way if I had my feet straight. Now let's try to talk about what I mentioned before, the heel side and the toe side. When I'm making a heel side turn, be much more stable, and you're gonna see that right now. It's stable and sharp because my weight's on my heels, so there's no flexion. Basically, my backbone and all my weight's on my heel, which allows me to be more stable. That's what I'm gonna do right now. I'm gonna carve from the right to my left. And whenever you're making a back turn, by all means, always check behind you to make sure you can make that turn, and we're good. So I'm putting the weight on my back heels right now. And as you probably can see, I was able to carve and lean on my heels much more because it's more stable. Now let's try to make the same turn now on my toe side. And you're gonna notice that it's gonna be a little bit wider and not as stable, and I can't carve as much. I'm gonna start that right now, and here it comes. It's still, it feels like a little more unstable, and you feel like you cannot carve as much. I don't know if you notice or not, but at least I do feel a little more unstable when I'm turning on my toe side. And I believe that for almost every rider. Now, here's that little trick that I mentioned, that you might be a little more stable on your toe side turn. And the trick is, as you're turning to your feet, to your toes, grab the board with your toes, arch like you're scraping the board. That's gonna make the board a little more stable. You're gonna have a better, firm feeling. I'm gonna do that right now. There we go. By doing that, I can go a little bit more firm on the board, and I can feel the board. I can feel the board more stable. So basically, you grab your toes, you grab your toes like I'm doing right now, firm on the board to make it more stable. And then you can let go. Alright guys, so I don't know how the sound came out. I'm gonna stop right now and see how the sound came out. Maybe I'll do a voiceover, but I will give you my final thoughts anyhow. Alright, let me do my final approach and get to details. Living the life of these questioning people. All right, guys, just to sum up now and just to finish this video, I hope these tips were helpful to you. But remember, this is the style that I like to ride. If you ask me what's the best position, the best way for it to ride, that's up to you. So there's no rules on what you to do or what's the best for you. You're gonna find, based on what I said, what's gonna be comfortable for you. So if you ask me again, what's the best position for your feet, is whatever makes you comfortable, and you progress as you get better. All right, on that note, please consider subscribing, leave a thumbs up, and always leave a comment below so you can give me suggestions for what to do next. Have a good one, be good to each other, and I hope this was helpful. Bye bye.